Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special Routefinder PLUS birthday bash. I know that I say everything is very special, but this one is especially special because it's a birthday. I mean, how many companies, Tony, have birthday parties for a product? So we have this special product because Plus was extremely significant for Transfinder as a company, as well as for the industry as a whole. Which, by the way, multiple years now we've won Best Software Award for Plus specifically. So we felt like we needed to give it special recognition. By the way, Tony, I have heard a little bit of grumbling from StopFinder and Viewfinder saying, "Why don't we get a little special?" We'll talk. I tried to kind of calm some of those jealousies, but Plus is very special. Think about a 4-year-old, how much growth takes place in a 4-year-old over those years. And, Plus, I will say, it was not born not knowing how to walk. It was already running when it was born 4 years ago. Tony was like, Plus had to have all the features and functionality as Routefinder Pro did, but just better. That's why the word Plus. It had to be everything Plus. You're going to hear a lot more about that, how it's matured in the last 4 years. Before I forget, you see some panelists up there. We have 5 users. They're from small schools, some medium schools, and some large schools. And they're going to share their Plus stories very briefly. They're also going to stay on and maybe piggyback on some of the things that Tony and Zach are going to talk about. But for now, it's my pleasure to welcome our President and CEO, Antonio Civitella, and Zach Moren, Transfinder Sales Enablement and Engineering Manager, who are going to tell us more about Plus, how it is the industry leader. Take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, good to be on with you, Tony, and good to be on with all of our panelists here.
Great to see everybody. Wow. So it is a birthday bash, right? I mean, it's the Fabulous Four. Everyone's telling me when we first had our first and only child, Alessio. Many of you heard about him and all that. Oh, it's going to be the terrible twos. Actually, the twos were not that bad. It was more about the terrific threes. They weren't so terrific, but Fabulous Four is even better. So birthdays, I'm very grateful to my family moved to this country when I was a little kid. And, we didn't have too much. But I tell you, my mom always had a birthday cake for us. Always. No matter what was out there, we always had a birthday cake. So it's something that it's an important aspect of our celebration. Today is a special moment. And really, it's every day. But this has really changed our company. Transfinder completely changed over 4 years ago when we released this product. So I'm really super excited to share so many cool things we've done just the past year since the last celebration. But we're constantly adding features, functionality to this product because we keep getting clients to come on board. So this is all super excited. But Rick, we have a great panelist too. People have their own stories and their own successes. And hey, we talk about successes, but there's also other things, right? We all have challenges every day. And how do you overcome those challenges is really what makes us even better people. So, Zach, what do you say? This is exciting, right?
Very exciting. Well, like you said, we've done a lot this past year in Plus. That's a big thing we want to talk about. That's the reason I'm here. I want to highlight a few of the exciting releases. And Tony, we've got a lot of our clients on this call here, people that use Plus every day. And I feel pretty confident. A few of the things we're going to talk about that we released already are things that they're going to be looking at going, wow, I had no idea that was in there. I want to start using that. And of course, we'll wrap up by not only talking about what we've done, but a little bit of what's to come, right? Give people a little bit of sneak peek into what 24, 25 is going to look like for Routefinder Plus too. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And then, we have to talk a little bit about the other complementary products. That's why, we're deciding like, are we just going to just strictly talk about Plus? It's hard to talk about just Plus because we do have, it is a foundation. So we'll definitely touch a little bit about StopFinder and Wayfinder. And those are some amazing products. But Plus, we're going to just get a little glimpse too at the end on what's to come. And for our clients, going to be at ACS, you're going to really see what's coming in the near future and really some, it's the glimpse into the future. And that's always one of my favorite session. I really put, Rick, I usually do a couple days, straight without sleeping, but I'm always super excited about that. So let's get rocking. So Rick, where are we on next?
Sounds good. Well, first, here's our panel of speakers today. Amazing folks. I'm going to introduce them one by one when they come on. First, we have Anna Banner. She's Transportation Director at Garland ISD. Kevin McGraw, Transportation Director at Triad Community. AJ Neitenbach, who is with Revere Local Schools in Ohio. Jared Richmond, Transportation Director at Carl Junction School District in Missouri. And Sherry Sarver, Transportation Dispatcher at East Peoria in Illinois. Who called me last week. I don't mean to get you on the spot. Sherry's like, I don't know about this. I'm like, no, you got a great story, Sherry. You're going to do awesome. So any of those of you who have been on these panels, they go by really fast, and you guys are the experts. So we're looking forward to hearing each of your stories. All right, you can advance the slide there, Zach. We'll start off with our cover girl. Can I cover poster child? I don't know what the right word is here. But we got Tony, and Tony, you're not wearing your orange blazer there. But Anna, large school, 77th largest district in the U.S., 15th largest in Texas. A lot of students transported. And that STN article talks about the puzzle piece of technology. You have, I think you said 14 routers. Is that correct? And you're blending technology. Tell us a little bit about your Routefinder Plus story. I know you have our suite of solutions. Feel free to talk about how they all integrate with each other, but how has Plus been working for you? And thank you for joining us today, by the way.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. That's kind of funny looking at yourself on the magazine there, but we had a different routing software about a year ago. We were just, into this about a year and a half, and just the amazing difference that Plus has made in the router's life for us. I asked him this morning, if you could say what was your overall favorite thing, what would it be? So of course I got lots of answers, because like you said, we have lots of routers, but the ones that stand out are the user friendly. It saves time, it's more efficient, it's reliable, routing updates in seconds, and then just really convenient for the parents with the Stopfinder app, and something that this community hasn't had before. So I was very excited to bring that to our community, and I hope next school year they will really see the benefit. We have over 10,000 users right now, but I'm hoping that grows next school year.
That's awesome. And can you think of, I know I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but a problem that it has solved for your district? Were there any kind of issues that, either driver shortage or any other kind of issues that Plus has solved for you guys?
So word got out fast that we had the tablets, right? So that's your directions for the drivers. And we started out the year 72 drivers short. Word got out, we were top transportation team, we're in a magazine. So we are currently 2 drivers short is all, and, not having to split routes. And so it's really been an amazing thing for us. People hear about the tablets, drivers hear about it. We're doing a lot of stuff to change the culture as well, and Transfinder has just been part of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. So stay on. It's going to be kind of like, remember, I'm going to show my age here, but Johnny Carson, the new talk show host, guys, you're on and you leave, and that's it. Johnny made him sit through the whole show, even if they were done. So stay on. If you want to piggyback on anything that anybody else says, that would be great. I'm going to introduce next Kevin McGraw, and he was also featured in a recent publication, School Bus Ride. So Kevin, you started at the district in 2019. You were talked about running an older, your district was running on older equipment. You said you had a very chaotic routing system. That's a direct quote. No communication with parents at all. And everything was done via paper and pen. So tell us, how has Plus changed your life, your district's life? What's it solving for you?
Yes.
Thanks for joining us again. I'm a little slow on it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really kind of what drove us to make the switch, was the chaos, of having the schools get the information for new addresses or new phone numbers or whatever, and then sometimes we would get that information, sometimes we wouldn't get that information, and then trying to route those students that don't exist there, or it's a new house that got built and we didn't know about it, and it just became a real problem. So when we switched over to our new student management software, which is Skyward, we were looking for a routing software that would kind of make that transition easier and would communicate with with Skyward. So now, just the schools, they input all the data and it comes over to us every night. And most of the time it will route itself and just kind of give us a notice of it in the morning of what happened. Sometimes we have to go in there and spend, 32 seconds on a student getting them routed, but it's a whole lot better, especially with our kindergartners that come in. We used to have to manually input them, every single kindergartner that came in every year. And now we don't have to do that, and we're a small organization. We're a small school. So we only have 2 full-time workers in the office and 1 part-time. So having as much phone calls as we can cut down on, as much data input we can cut down on, and letting the system do its own thing really helps us out tremendously.
That's great. Now, you mentioned in that story optimization, cutting down on driving times, reducing fuel waste, consolidating routes, making sure the buses were filled more to capacity to be more efficient. How's Plus helped you do all that?
We were able to take. So what we did is we didn't roll anything over. We wanted everything fresh. We wanted all of our maps fresh. We wanted to input everything fresh so that we knew it was proper, because there was a lot of issues with the old maps that we had. And that was kind of a neat thing for us too. We didn't realize how many errors there were until we got the new maps from Routefinder and seeing just the new roads and new subdivisions that we had all wrong. So it was a good fresh start for us. We cleaned up all of our routes. We cleaned over our bus stops. We were able to eliminate bus stops and start pulling bigger areas to one stop, which obviously helped with payroll and getting our routes moving more consistently and quicker. But we went through the driver shortage just like everybody else for a while, and we inputted all of our routes into the system, and then we started using the optimization tool to see what we could merge together and really fill our routes to get the most juice out of our squeeze. And we were able to eliminate, I believe it was 3 routes right off top, which helped us out tremendously. Every driver, every butt in the seat matters, right? So eliminating 1, 2, or 3 routes is huge. I mean, that keeps me off the road. It keeps my mechanic off the road. And then not too long after that, we started getting into electric buses as well. And we use that same optimization tool to kind of make the best out of our electric vehicle routes too. Everybody's worried about range anxiety. So we took, how long we can drive. We started looking at the routes we wanted them on, and then started kind of picking them apart with that optimization tool to make it work.
That's awesome. In that story too, you also mentioned that you wanted a well-known company, somebody that's been around for a while. Just any takeaways on that real quick.
Yeah,
why was that important?
We don't mind being the guinea pig sometimes. Like I said, with the electric buses, we kind of felt like the guinea pig down here in Southern Illinois. We were the only one at the time doing it. But when it came down to routes and student information and proper addresses, I wanted something it's already been through its testing phases. We know it works. We know it's going to work with Skyward. We know it's going to work for us. Because the last thing you want to do is go to a school board and tell them you're going to change everything, and then 4 or 5 months later go back and say, well, none of that worked.
Very good. Very good. Thanks so much. That's great, Kevin. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
All right. Thank you so much.
And it's been great.
Awesome. All right. You can move on to slide there. Thank you so much, Kevin. We're kind of close to the first half. So here's the first trivia question. What year did Transfinder, Tony, you can't answer this, by the way, because you were there. What year did Transfinder change its name from Fourth and Associates to Transfinder? 1986, the year I graduated from high school. 1996, the year my daughter was born. 1998 or 2000? Lock in your answers. Okay, Zach, move that slide. The answer is 2000. Did you get that right, Tony?
I'm pretty sure it was a monumental day. I'll never forget. End of the year 2000. It's called Fourth and Associates because fine gentleman, one of my biggest mentor in my life, other than my mom and dad, Jim Forth, hired me as an intern, and that was one of the questions. I realized it's not on there anymore. 1989, I'm still in college, and I was hired to work on a couple products, and one of them is for routing. and it was called Transfinder. It was a product that we actually worked on, and he gave me an opportunity in the mid-90s to buy 1 or 2 shares at a time, which is great. But you know, one of my father really always had these great proverbs, and one of them was talking about steering a ship or really being part of a leadership. It should always be an odd number of people, right? So it should always be an odd number of people. And Rick, why do you think it should be an odd number of people?
So you have a tiebreaker?
Right. And he always finished that proverb, and 3's too many. So what he did is I had an opportunity to buy the rest of the shares that he owned. I'm a minority shareholder, but I bought the rest of them in 2000. And I right away changed the company to really reflect a product that I've worked on for a decade at this point. It was called Transfinder. So then we started rebranding all the other products like Routefinder, and everything became a Finder. But that's how Transfinder became
And
a
now
company.
that Transfinder product is now called Routefinder
That's right.
Plus, and I'm going to turn it over to you and Zach to tell us what's new since we launched Plus.
So, well, we've had a lot of updates this past year. Like I said, Tony, I wouldn't be surprised if we cover a few of the updates here and people go, I need to start using that. Let me call my rep and take a look. How can I make sure I'm utilizing it? So we'll go through a few of the releases just that we've had in the past year. This is all stuff that's out in Routefinder Plus today that you have access to. So first big one I wanted to touch on, Tony, here is the map viewer. This is a big one that I know you were really pushing for. There was some functionality like this that existed in Pro, but with Plus now, we've just taken it way further, right? With their ability to add in map layers while they're working, while they're routing. I can add in layers like my school boundaries, my students, my school locations, but I can bring in data from outside too. So if you have GIS data on weather or traffic, I worked with districts that have sidewalk zones that they can bring in or bike lanes. All of that information can be brought in as visual layers to help you out while you're routing using that map viewer tool, right?
Well, so the big part of what we did here is that when Plus came out, we created a palette. It was called Custom Maps, and it was pretty okay, right? Very limited. But then we realized, wow, we got to go beyond that. We'll let them just add anything they want, any criteria, any tables like students, any way you want, then save it as a workspace, and then end up being like a huge thing. And so we rebranded to be really Map Viewer. And so you're going to see this everywhere. And we've been talking about potentially even adding this to Viewfinder because it just makes sense to have this type of capability right at your fingertips. Someone sets it up. It's exactly, it's a viewer. So you could set up as many layers you want, color coding, thematics, save it as I'm always stickler on when you name things, you want to make sure they're named appropriately. And I probably should preach that to myself. A lot of things that I do really quick, I call it 2020, 21, 22, 2020, 23. I mean, I do a lot of those things, so I probably should be careful when I say those. But you want other people to bring it up in the future. That way they could easily just pick from a list and then open up the entire setup. This is exciting stuff. And I think I'd love to hear from our clients how they're using this and how they're going to use, even with new functionality, it's about to just come right out here big time.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of their map viewer workspaces they've saved. We're staying here on the same theme of some of the map updates we've come out with. And this is, again, another really visual one, which is called the Compare Maps, right? So, it's been great that now working in Plus, you can open different map canvases. A lot of people they can have their AM maps on one, their PM trips on another map. But with the map comparison tool, I can look at one screen, and with a slider, I can go back and forth comparing two maps. Big use case I've really seen out of this is districts that are running optimization. I'm running some of these optimization tools. I know Kevin talked about running some of these earlier in the year. Well, now what I can do is I can run my optimization and use map comparison to see the old routes versus the new routes. I don't have to jump to any different tab, use multiple monitors. That compare map tool lets me see them side by side with this kind of scrolling tool here, which is really, really powerful.
A lot of times when you're And I'm sure, Kevin, when you did all those optimizations, and really everyone that's using our product that finds savings, and somehow you need to, prove it to the administration that you're able to save them money, and that's how you justify it, which is great. Create as many documents as possible out of our system. But nothing beats this right here, an analytic tool you could just have in front of the board saying, here's a before and after. It's not just a piece of paper, but you literally slide back and forth. Here's what it was before. Here's what is it now. Look back and forth, and it just paints a picture, and it's like, wow. So we're personally having a lot of fun with this functionality. So I know our clients. Again, this just came out really in January, so this feature is really somewhat new, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot of feedback from our existing clients. And by the way, go ahead and put some comments on there if you want. Put some comments or some questions. We'll do our best to answer some questions. But if some concerns, something great to share, anything, just throw it at us, please.
Well, if I'm speed running any of these features, it's just because of how much we have to cover, right? All of our features from last year, everything we have upcoming, and then hearing from all of our attendees. Location events, though, was one that I knew I could not skip. This is a new functionality that, it stands on its own. There's a lot you can do with it, but it's also a foundation for what we're building with Plus, right? The idea that I can know when my vehicles are exiting a bus yard, or I can know exactly when they've entered into a school region. Location events allow you to create boundaries around any of your locations that are really key like that, like a bus yard or a school. And you can trigger alerts to say, hey, let me know when vehicles are entering or exiting these locations late or early, right? That's going to help with my on-time performance. Or just give me a notice when vehicles entered to zones that they shouldn't be, right? There's a zone that maybe has dangerous traffic incidents. I want to get an alert anytime a vehicle's passing through that zone, right? Because that's a problem with our routing and our structure. So location events are, again, that ability to create these zones. You can set alerts as far as what the on-time performance is for your vehicles arriving in those zones. And again, you can even set triggers or notifications to yourself, letting you know when vehicles have entered or exited a specific zone. Again, really thinking around the bus yard, the school, some of those key areas is what we're looking for with these location events here.
A lot more to come with this, though. I mean, of course, it is a fundamental base that we're going to be using on how you could just create these really geo regions is one of those, but these are more specific. The screen's more on a school level, but you could, and it's very hard to see on the bottom right screen that you have so much functionality to know when you're early, what's defined as late, and what's defined as on time. You literally could tweak it by each school, so it's not set and forget it for across the board. So the customization here, and definitely is an advanced feature, but this is where because you optimize, you save routes, great, but now you want to know, how is it actually working? How's it working out there? So this is where functionality is. You could save a lot of routes, but then what if the driver's not really running the way you wanted to? And that's where you find out if what you did really worked.
We could picture too, maybe a dashboard with location grids just for school. We know districts are always dealing with those bell times and tiers and the challenges there, but maybe a school can just have a location list so they can know as each vehicle's arrived at their school, hey, bus 23 is here. Let's get the kids out on the bus and ready to go. Sketch layers, Tony, again, we're talking more mapping tools, but we've done a lot of updates with our maps. This is a part of our map viewer, but it's such a unique and powerful tool that allows districts to bring their local information. So with a sketch layer, you can put your local sketches in there, whether you need to drop points, lines, shapes. What's really nice is you can put notations and pop-ups. And again, this is bringing your local information, so it lives on top of your map. And you can imagine just somebody coming in brand new to the district saying, where's a safe stop for a bus stop? Well, I could pull up a sketch layer that has all of my district's information, my localized knowledge, my safe streets, safe stop locations, and I can pull that up as a layer view that I can just see while I'm trying to route here. So sketch layers is a new part of Map Viewer that allows you to build custom sketches that you can save and pull up as you need.
So, there's some of you are saying, why is it called Sketch? So we had a functionality in Pro that was called Cosmetic Layer, and it was very basic. You could copy and paste things. It was just basic. You couldn't get pop-up. You couldn't get any information. So we're just having some fun. Remember, it's a whole palette and all these tools, and we wanted to look at, well, sketching is really that kind of stuff. It's almost like you're having fun, but you got to really treat the sketch layer as a custom layer. You know, we could do any user-defined fields in any table, but sketch layer is really a whole nother user-defined table that you could just define, whether it's points, it's line, it's text, shapes, whatever you want. And then you could also have a full database behind it. So you could go on a map and you could tap on it and get all that information. So there's so much functionality. I know we're still routing. It's our focus. Better be good at what you do is routing, but we want to make sure that it goes beyond just routing.
So Forms is a product we released a while ago, Tony. Is it 2 years ago we were here talking about Forms? But this is a tool that's changed significantly. And one of the big updates we had this past year is the ability to build in form rules. And I've been getting asked this since day one, since we rolled it out. Well, I need my form to be dynamic. If I answer no to this question, you know, the next follow-up question should be different, right? How do I make these kind of dynamic forms? Well, now with form rules, you can do these kind of dynamic forms, right? So a good example is maybe a vehicle inspection. Well, if I mark that something has a defect or has failed, I'm going to want a little bit more follow-up. I want them to write in some memo notes. Maybe I want to grab a photo of the defect, things like that. Form rules allows you to build those kind of dynamic forms so that as things change, you can capture additional information. Other big feature out of these rules is the ability to trigger notifications, right? If I get a defect on a form here, I'd love to get an email directly to my lead technician so he knows, pre-trip inspection was just done. They reported a defect. It's in your inbox right away. You can take action. Or student behavior. We just had a student behavior incident. That's going to go out to the right person. They get emailed and notified. They're ready to kind of take action on that form. So a good use case is, like I said, maybe you've got a student transportation request form. This is something you're sending out to your parents to fill out. Do they require AM busing, PM busing? Do they need a late bus for any reason? Well, if yes, what's the reason? Why are they taking a late bus? Is it athletics? Is it band? Is it chorus? You can see how you can kind of build out these dynamic forms using those form rules that we built in their form. And again, these are all client-facing tools. You can build and customize your own forms. You can add your own rules, add your own triggers. The nice thing is these are really building blocks. It's not prescriptive saying, hey, this is the form that you need to use. They're just tools for you to really build and customize what you need at your district there.
I mean, Zach, clearly forms are great. What I think really took us a whole nother level with forms is when we made it a public option. Initially, forms were only internally, so in other words, you had to be a user. That way we know what you're entering and so forth. When we said, hey, we need to start creating public forms. In other words, get a public facing, whether it's you're surveying parents or the community. Why not? You have all that information at your fingertips. That's when we really took off and started really with StopFinder. When as a parent app, we want to get their feedback, and I know you do. So we incorporated forms into StopFinder initially, but then it really started to just every use case possible. And I think I hope some people could maybe post, like, how are you using forms? What are the special ways you're doing it? I know we've done so many webinars on just Form Finder itself. We did give it a brand, but it comes at no cost with Routefinder. It does. It's part of it. And it's, to me, that's a whole nother product altogether. And it's just part of it. It's just another one of those options. Very good stuff. And by the way, we use this technology for the top transportation teams also. So we're really, there's that saying that you eat your own dog food. So if you're a company that makes dog food, well, do you really eat it yourself? Would you let your own dogs eat your own dog food? Guess what? We do that. So these are the things that we know how exciting these type of things are. And I see some people about enrollment and all that. Yeah, you can do a request for, you can make these forms off your web page. That way, instead of just going someplace else, it comes directly to you. And you could even, coming soon, could even create records. Man, can you imagine that? Like student records directly from that. Cool.
A lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities. We have just a couple more before we bring back some of our attendees here. Again, Tony, I came to you and said, hey, is this cheating? Is it fair for us to talk about some non-Plus products? But what you told me is it's all part of our Plus platform, right? This is all our integrated tools. It's available only to our Plus clients. And so I had to highlight a few of our features with Wayfinder, StopFinder. And the big one is our Wayfinder alerts. Right? So this is allowing drivers to get notifications about really key information about their students. And just like everything with the Transfinder platform, it's not prescriptive. We allow you to define, what kind of alerts do I need to share with my drivers? Do I want to share students that require a parent pickup? Do I want to share medical or disability needs? Do I want to share suspended student information? And how do I want that to appear to my driver? I can create custom icons, things like that to alert them so that they know as a student swipes on or off a bus, hey, there's key information about the student that I need to be paying attention to, right? Alerts are a really key feature.
I tell you, it really ends up being that we want to make sure that it's not, we respect the privacy. We don't want to put words in there, text. So a lot of time it's almost like these symbols that gives you specifically what are they. That way the driver only sees it. If they see an exclamation mark, they know what that means. There might be some stuff in there that's private. We don't necessarily want to just put text out there. We just want to put a symbol. Then you have a list of symbols for your drivers. I would know if that symbol is on this kid. It could be a pretty bad one. Like, hey, they're suspended. They're not supposed to be on the bus. And those are a lot better way to do that. I mean, of course, you could always have this whole thing suspended, but it's always been a security and safety issue that some of the kids are suspended, somehow get on a bus, and they get to school. Until they actually get to school, they realize you shouldn't have been on a bus. And those really a huge problem with the security issues there. So many use cases here on these things. I know it.
Well, here's my last one, but we couldn't leave the webinar without at least talking about our StopFinder ETA alerts, right? So ETA was something that, Tony, honestly, we've been a little hesitant to roll out with our parent app because we know how unreliable ETA can be, right? If ETA is just sharing where's the bus's location, where does it need to get to, there's a lot of information in between that it can be missing. But what we found is now that we offer the full platform, we offer the in-vehicle tablet, we offer the routing, we offer the parent app, and it's all linked up together, we feel like we can now start sharing ETA that's capturing your day of changes. So when you call up a driver and say, hey, I had a driver call out, I need you to do a double run today. Or, hey, this special needs student needs busing, you got to go 20 minutes out of your way to go pick them up. All of that can get captured and can get calculated into our ETA, so we're able to provide parents reliable information. So we rolled this out this past fall, and really, really good response that we've been hearing back from that ETA notification tool.
I mean, listen, a lot of parent apps out there, and we started this way. I mean, really, you're going to get notified when they're 10 minutes away. You're really not going to get notified when they're 10 minutes away. Really, the whole point of parent apps in the past, the parent doesn't even draw a shape. They just say, at this stop, make it a radius of 1,000 feet. And by the way, 1,000 feet, which means it could be 2,000 feet, the entire diameter. And hopefully the bus goes right by it. Because if the bus doesn't go by that stop, you'll never get notified. And so a little bit cheating right there. And a lot of a lot of those apps out there are really are just really those little the shapes really to point with the radius, which worked fine. It was called a geo alerts. That's what we had also, but we never said you're going to get notified when 10 minutes away. This is truly estimated time of arrival, and it obviously only works with Wayfinder. If the driver goes off path, we'll recalculate the ETA, and if the driver somehow changes the sequence before they start or services a certain stops, while they're driving, the ETA is updated immediately. So this is truly estimated time of arrival. It doesn't get better than this. So we're sharing it directly with parents. These are all things you could turn on, turn off. They still have the geo alerts like you had before. And by the way, we went beyond just at the stop. We let them create unlimited, and they could see it right on the map where all these little zones, and they're circles, but unlimited. So ETA is a game changer. Game changer. At this point, it's really what parents want.
Definitely. Stop Finder is so much to it. We could spend a whole webinar, and we have, Tony, but I wanted to make sure we covered that. That's what I have for some of the highlights. I'm going to wrap up here with a quick quiz, and then we'll hand it back to Rick and some of our panelists. So quiz question we got for you guys. We've got ACS coming up at the end of this month. Hopefully a lot of people attending this webinar we're going to be seeing there. But this year marks the blank year of Transfinder's annual client summit. So what number annual client summit are we on? Very, very excited to see everybody at San Antonio for this year's ACS. Let's take a look. I see people dropping in into the questions here. A few guesses. I think people would be surprised is one hint at the number of ACSs we've done. Some good guesses, and I'll go ahead and drop the answer. This is going to be our 11th year of Transfinder's ACS. So very, very exciting.
Going to be huge. It is going to be huge. We're super excited about it. April 28th through May 1st. If you haven't registered, go to transfinder.com. It's right there on the homepage, and you can still register. I think registration ends Friday. Is that right, Tony? I think it's soon, so don't delay.
So people just can't show up in San Antonio. I want to. We might just have to get some boats, around the river walk right there. And I think we could do that, right, Zach? We could have some.
Tony has this expression called "figure it out." So,
right.
But I think John Daniels, our VP of marketing, would like it if they registered.
All right. That way it doesn't sweat it out. All right, I'm with you.
So next up is Jared Richmond, Carl Junction School District in Missouri. Your company moved from what we call Brand X to Transfinder. And so I want to hear a little bit about that transition, how it's worked for you, what problems it solved for you. And I do want to get to something if we have a minute, but tell me a little bit about how that transition happened, why, and how it's working for you now.
Well, Brand X was also our supplier for our student management software, and they got out of that business, so it allowed us to get different student information software, which allowed us to go with this product, which is what we wanted in the first place. But it was one of those, the transition was, well, the onboarding with, company X there was not great. So I was really not looking forward to this, but it went well smoother than I thought it was going to go. The other software was so clunky. We didn't even do our sped routes in them because they changed so often. So our sped routes were still pencil and paper. Doing this, it was one of those, once we, got the basis figured out, we put all of our sped routes in there. We were able to save lots of time and money to the district because the drivers were taking past that, we took 15 miles off of one special education route just because the way the driver was going. And, those are kids you don't necessarily need on the bus for an extended period of time. So that went really well. Yeah, we really haven't had any problems with it other than the first learning curve.
That's awesome. Okay, since I watch a lot of crime shows these days and court drama, and so Tony and Zach opened the door. I think that's what they use to talk about Wayfinder. So if it's okay, I do want to open the door because you do have a great Wayfinder story. Kind of try to keep it brief, but it was one that when I heard it from you, Jared, I shared it with everybody, and we're in the midst of putting together a white paper on it. But tell us your Wayfinder story and how a substitute driver kind of helped stop a situation from getting bad.
Like what Anna was talking about, when the tablets started coming out for us, it made a huge difference. We use them for our subs so they don't have to rely on a kindergartner to know where they're going. We implemented the tablets. We had a substitute driver that was driving a route, and stopped at a stop. The student's picture and name wasn't on the tablet to get off the bus, so he didn't let the kid get off the bus. Then come to find out, the student was in the process of running away. So the driver was able to stop the student from being able to run away from home just by being able to look at that tablet and say that. And obviously the full-time drivers should know who's on their route, but the substitutes don't, and that was what allowed him to stop that.
That's a powerful story. You talked about how your subs are always like, first question to you is, do I get the tablet? So
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jared. Appreciate it. Last but not least, I'd like to welcome Sherry Sarver to join us from East Peoria Elementary School District in Illinois. And she talks about when she came to the district, all the routes were done on paper, and you said they were very confusing. Routes were crossing routes. Students were getting missed. It was a mess. So you said Routefinder helped us organize our district, and I'm not going to take any more of your time. You tell me, how did PLUS change your district's lives, your life, and what problem is it solving for you?
It's changed the routing just because we were able to mirror our junior high routes with our elementary school routes, so the drivers aren't learning two separate areas. We had drivers doing one area for junior high, one area for elementary, so it made that a lot simpler for the drivers. Our special ed routes are a lot easier to, when we do get every day get a new student or a new student moves. It's just the mapping's there. It's so much easier to put the students on. Like when I came in 2 years ago, everything was done on paper. And there was a changeover with the supervisor and dispatcher in the department. So that's when we pushed for Routefinder. And the second year, this is the first full year we've had it, and it's been amazing this year.
And you talked about your drivers are happier, your parents are happier.
I think the parents and drivers, the drivers are much happier because the routes, and they get directions. We don't have the Wayfinder program, but I do print out directionals for our subs. And then the parents, it uploads to our SIS system, our Skyward every night, so they're able to see more accurate times. Whereas before, route lists were done at the beginning of the year, and that's what time was put in there. If there was changes, it really didn't get updated throughout the year. So now if I make a change, the parent knows the very next day if the times have changed.
Awesome. And the other panelists have alluded to this a little bit. The training you also wanted to highlight was super helpful.
Training has been amazing. Like I've told my supervisor, if somebody ever says that through Routefinder they don't know how to do something or they can't find how to do it, that's on them, because it's all out there. There's so much training and so much webinars and guides. I love it. I try to watch a webinar at least weekly.
Our COO just put out an email just company-wide with an update. He goes, grab a cup of coffee, this is going to be a long one. And it was all these updates of all these guides and just so many support calls that, we resolved issues and everything else. It's everything, just so you know, if you don't know Tony at all, very big into documentation, data. He is data-driven. He's people-driven too, but data is huge. Am I right, Tony? Am I okay? Am I going on a limb saying that? So anyway, thank you so much for our panelists. I really appreciate all of your stories. Great feedback. I think we have one last trivia question here. I'll read this one. What award or awards did Transfinder win in 2023? Best software, best hardware, best place to work, or top educational apps? So if you could lock in your answers there. And then Zach, when you think we've got enough response there, feel free to show that response, the answer. We have a drum with Tony. Do you know the answer to this one? He's doing the drum roll. And the answer is yes, all of the above. There's a bunch that we didn't list there, but I only wanted to keep it to the 4. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Tony and Zach to go into more details about PLUS, how it's changing lives, how it's changing districts, maybe a little bit of a glimpse of the future. So take it away, gents.
Sure, Tony, we could definitely go on here about what's coming next, right? We've done so many updates. We've got so much more planned and in the pipeline. I think it's important to stress that the development of our products and solutions are really driven by our clients, right? I mean, we've had great clients on today talking about what they love, but they're happy to share with us, Tony, when there's things that they'd like to change too, right? And that's where a lot of the changes come from and are driven from. I think it's what makes our product such a strong one, is that we do have a lot of great clients using it and giving us that feedback. So just a few things I wanted to make sure to wrap up with and highlight before we we wrap up the webinar today. One feature that, Tony, you told me we got to put front and center, because we know whether they're a client now, whether they've never worked with Transfinder before, they're going to look at this and say, yeah, that's something that would be useful to me. But it's the ability to edit any trip at the same time. You know, Routefinder PLUS gives a lot of flexibility with editing trips. You can open trips of the same tier, your morning trips that go to the same school, your afternoon trips, you can open those and see them together. But we've heard that feedback that, no, I need to edit trips that go to different schools at the same time. I don't care about what school they go to. I maybe don't even care if it's an AM trip or a PM trip. Let me open it up and edit it. And so the ability to edit any trip together is definitely something we've heard that feedback, and that's why that's something that is really big for us to be able to bring to our clients here with that update.
This is going to be a huge one. I know it. This is going to be massive. We already were able to open up and edit trips to have the exact same criteria. And of course, with Plus, you could have multiple maps. You could have one map of all your elementary AM, then the afternoon, or the PM on another map. But now you could literally do them all at the same time, right on the same map. And by the way, the blue dots, if you're a client, you've heard me say about blue dots. What do blue dots mean? Blue dots means they're unassigned, they need to be assigned. But I just want to tell you, it's deeper than that. I'm personally, and really Transfinder is grateful for blue dots. Why are we grateful for blue dots? If there weren't any blue dots, we wouldn't actually be in this webinar today. There won't be an industry, right? Blue dots means kids need a school bus. They need to get on a stop. So without blue dots, we actually would not exist right now. Transfinder will not be Transfinder. You guys would be someplace else. You will not be in this industry. So I just want to tell you, we are so grateful for the blue dots. And I think if you're a client, you could definitely understand that. But when you're going from one trip to another and you're editing, especially morning, afternoon, or like high school and middle school at the same time, as you tap on different trips, the blue dots dynamically update in front of you, which is just awesome. This is beautiful functionality, and I think this is where we're just keep adding features that we want to make sure that brand X, Y, or Z, we want to make sure we give them a hard time to even try to keep up with us.
Gotta stress, for anyone that's salivating, look at the screen saying, how do I start doing this? This is all a glimpse of the future. So this is all future releases that we're talking about here.
Soon, very soon. We'll have it.
Very soon. Guide mode's another one that I'm really excited about. You know, a lot of our clients are real experts in our product, Tony. They can teach us things about how they use the products, but a big thing we hear all the time is how hard it is to, you know, upskill staff, right? You get a brand new router, a brand new dispatcher, somebody that comes on, how do you get them comfortable with this system, right? And guide mode is really going to be a tool that helps make that onboarding process so much easier, right? It's going to allow you to kind of hover and get information about any of the tools, any of the palettes, any of the grids, any of the data that we have in our system. You can get little pop-up tips that are built right into it. And it's all part of integrating that great training and resources that Sherry's talking about, because you're going to be able to access community and our community guides and all that information right there within Plus. You don't need to be jumping around or having bookmarks saved to go back and find. It'll be tools built into Plus for you.
And you know, this is where I think everyone had a similar story today here about how you went through the implementation, right? Implementing our software. And I mean, maybe I missed somebody, but no one said that was like the best time of my career implementing a routing system. No, it's a lot of work, a lot of trial and errors. You have to learn things really fast, and we definitely train you, but we're not there 24 hours a day, like as if we're training you, saying, yeah, click there, now click there. All right, give me the mouse, I'll do it for you. We're really not doing that. You're gonna have to do this yourself, and all of you do it. But the whole idea is in guide mode that walks you step by step. That way, if you forget, what is that for? Oh, I get it. I mean, maybe some of you guys like to go through community and just read every page and watch all. I mean, we must have thousands of hours of videos. I mean, thousands. Sometimes I just want to can you just get me there? And that's what this is all about. So I'm in this. If I know I have to be in a routing, I bring up the routing palette to do my routing. Well, then while I'm in the routing pilot, can you give me a little refresher? That's the type of things that, again, we want to make things faster. And then when you bring on new users, new employees, it's faster, it's quicker for them to learn things. That's our goal here.
And how about redraw paths? This is one that I know, I remember implementing Routefinder Plus 4 years ago, when it first rolled out, and I had plenty of pro clients telling me, no, this is how I like to do it. This is how I like to change my driving path. Well, with redraw paths, we made editing the driving path so much easier. It's, brings back a lot of the functionality that people liked in pro, but honestly, I think is even more intuitive, that now a user can simply click along the path they want the bus to go. There's no more having to click and drag and click and drag and click and drag. They can just go ... give them the little breadcrumb trails, and they can redraw the driving path doing that.
When the click and drag is very Google-like, and we think Google is the leader out there, right? I mean, they have millions of people using their maps on a daily basis. When you're going from point A to point B and you want to change a path, you can just take the path and you drag it in and it changes, right? But so we really were like, oh, that's going to be great. We didn't realize that how much what we had in Pro was really very precise. Like, I don't want to change the whole path. I just want to go around the bend. And with that kind of functionality, you had to do a little bit of dragging more than once. Here, you just click, click, click. You just went around the corner. Very intuitive. You can still do the drag, or you could click along. So this is where makes a lot of sense, because if you're using Wayfinder, we want to make sure that you give the exact instructions to your drivers. So I'm super excited about this feature, because as far as we think, like, I think we have every feature that was in Routefinder Pro are now made it in Plus. Of course, we had so much more things in Plus than Pro couldn't even think of adding it. But here's one of those last features, like, something? It was in Pro. We thought we did a better job. We went to Plus, we went back. It's like, let's add that functionality. Again, no one's seen this yet. You guys are the first one to see this. I think the next group is going to see this during ACS. We'll hear it, right? We'll hear what they're going to say. Like, is this great? Or, thank you for giving me a second option, but the first option works okay. And listen, no problem with that. But I know there's some hardcore Pro users out there that went to Plus, like, how do you edit the path like you used to in Pro? A couple of you are still out there. It's okay. You could let us know that. Don't feel bad. Don't be embarrassed.
Tony, I think the last big one that I really have to cover combines a few things. We talked this past year about how we rolled out SoftFinder ETA, location events. Bringing that all together is going to be an ETA dashboard. And I think so many districts are going to be excited to share this with their schools, things like that, to be able to say, hey, here's a big dashboard, put it up on a TV screen, and have an ETA of when your buses are going to arrive at their stop locations. A tool that your dispatchers can use to say, hey, where are my vehicles at? Are they on time? Anna's excited about it. I could see, right? So many people are looking for a tool like this that they can get better live insight into what's happening out on the road. And again, I think the big message is it can only be done because of all of the other development and advancements that we brought in, right? So bringing that reliable ETA, bringing in location events, bringing in dashboards, bringing in all this stuff allows us to have a tool as powerful as I think ETA dashboards are going to be for our districts.
And as you talk about dashboards, it's a feature that we were super excited when we released it, I think 2 years ago. And this week, by the way, we're actually doing an internal contest. We're going to be, we asked everybody at the company to create your own dashboards. And we're going to actually have a grading. We're going to have a contest. There might be some awards out there. I mean, I don't know all the details, but we don't just do contests just for, sometimes it's bragging rights, but sometimes, some Amazon cards don't hurt either. And so we're going to have some internal contests because we really want to have a lot more dashboards. And we also know that we need to add more functionality. So stay tuned, because that's where I want to see all of you one day have dashboard at the school so they could see when a bus is about to arrive. That way they're getting the kids ready, or when the buses are all lined up and ready to go, and obviously the bell rings. You want your principals and the administration there at that school to come on, hurry up, get these kids on a bus, because many of you have multiple tiers. That's not just single tiers. So you got to get going, because if you don't get kids on a bus loaded fast enough, and then we drop them off at school and get back to another school, we're not going to make it on time, right? And so you guys know that. So I'm seeing a nice size screen at the school. That way, just like you're at the airport, you're going to go, oh man, they're coming, come on, let's go. Can you picture it? I hope you can visualize it at your schools.
Tony, that's just a small sample of some of the stuff. I'll be honest, as we're going through this, we're talking about what kind of stuff do we want to share. We know we have ACS right around the corner, and there's a ton more we're going to share. I know we really can't talk about any more than that, but I just got to say there's a lot more that we have planned. There's a lot more that we want to talk about. And again, we just got to stress that what we're developing is really all based on the feedback we're hearing from you. So we always want to say, we want to hear from you. We're excited to see you face-to-face at ACS again after a long time of getting to host one of those and hear from our clients. But yeah, definitely share your feedback, share your thoughts, share things that you'd love to see in the platform, because next year at our birthday bash, we might just be talking about that feature, right?
Whiteboard, I love it, by the way. You got to go back over there, because that's a little tease. It's whiteboard. I think stay tuned for this feature. It's going to be released. We're going to be releasing this product right after ACS. So whiteboard, you're going to hear a lot about this. Again, we are routing. That's our strength, but we want to have so many functionality. You'll see, and if you could just picture what a whiteboard is, picture how we're going to use a whiteboard while you're routing or on a map. Just picture that. And I think especially our current clients are going to completely see a whole nother picture here of what a whiteboard is. And it's all about collaboration. It's been our theme here, and 2024 is a collaboration year. We want to make sure that not only do we collaborate with our clients, we collaborate with internal here at the company, but we want you guys to collaborate with the routers and maybe the drivers. And what's a good way but to use a whiteboard? But that's all I need to say, because you know how excited I am about whiteboard, right, Zach? You know it.
I do know, and I'm excited for us to get to show it off. I'm excited for us to get hands on and dig into it. As it's taking a look, lots of great questions, lots of excitement, and lots of ideas for new features there. Tony, we're kind of coming up on time, and I wanted to make sure to give us a minute to talk about something that's really important to us. We're hoping all of our panelists are taking part in top transportation teams, and any of our clients or non-clients that are on the webinar today. We'd love to see you taking part in our top transportation team. So this is not exclusive to Transfinder clients. Any school district in America can register. And Tony, anything you want to share about top transportation teams?
It's an exciting moment, and Anna really could share with this. It was last year. I got to tell you, when we did this, I was excited, because we do these things here. We do this at Transfinder. We want to win the best place to work, all those things, top workplace. I think there's so many different names, and actually there's a ceremony going on, or like next week, I think, right? Like a bunch of us are going. Yeah, these are great. I'm gonna tell you, we didn't always win these things, but I got the results and find out why we're not winning. So multiple times we got together here as an executive team, like, all right, this is what people are saying about us as the leaders, as a company. We got to change some stuff. And listen, you can't fix everything, but can we just get some low-hanging fruit? And I felt like this is where, when we had this huge celebration, and Anna, I was so proud of all you guys. We're at Reno. And you guys all had your own stories, and you shared it. I was personally moved, and the way I felt like these were not just, they didn't just tell everybody, you better score high on us here. No, they really had real good reason. And I don't mean to just I identify just you in front of everybody here. I don't mean to embarrass you, but I know what you did. Even yesterday, you know, the eclipse. I saw the Facebook postings, and I know many of you did. But you guys were like at a barbecue grill out there because it was, you know, you're right in the totality path, of course, and those are special things. And hiring people is so hard, and I could tell you personally how hard it is to continue growing and bringing some top-notch people. So, and I know you said how you used this award from last year to hire more people, and that's, to me, it's special.
We did. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and it's fun to be recognized, and it's fun that people want to come work for you because you're awesome. So, bottom line.
Listen, we're always going to say we're awesome, right? I know we're always going to say we have an awesome team. We're always going to say that, but does our team think that? And that's really more important. So I want everybody to get out there, spread the words around, and you got to at least know where you stand.
But you got to be in it to win it.
That's right.
I just made that up. I don't know if you guys like that.
I've never heard that before.
We're going to win again. I'm just saying.
Cool.
I know we're a minute over here, but you know, a lot of important stuff we covered, and definitely wanted to give a big shout out. So if you haven't, feel free to use the QR code, go to toptransportationteams.com to register. I wanted to thank all of our panelists. I appreciate you coming on to share your stories. I wanted to thank Tony. Tony, thanks so much for, you know, talking a little bit about Plus, giving a chance to celebrate. Do you guys have cake at the office today? What's next?
Well, we stopped doing the cake because we felt like it was people were watching us eat cake, and that's like frustrating, right, Tony?
Didn't have cake. Is what that is? Right. By the way, we are next to each other. This is not remote, so I mean, can you want to? All right. We are just on an angle here, and even though we have a different background, but no, there were cake, there were graffiti and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of festivities, but we kind of, you know, watching other people eat cake, that was really good. We thought we're gonna just.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe there'll be cake at ACS. Just saying.
There you go. So thanks again, everybody, for attending.
Terry, thank you so much. Thanks for all of our attendees. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.